Awesome, awesome. And the last part of this tutorial, this should be fairly simple, is we're going to, so again, this is the, blueprint for the character, BP demo character. These are the standard components that we get when we create a character blueprint. And we're going to come over to event graph. And we're going to work with some custom events. So these are events you get by default: event begin play, actor begin overlap, and event tick. And instead of using those, we want things to fire when we do certain actions. So if I open up the content drawer, come down to my inputs, look inside the custom folder we made, and I'm looking for move. And we see it turned red, so this is like a custom event. So I'm just gonna drag it up so it's a little bit, actually, the way I do things, I like to keep event play up at the top, same for event tick, and all my custom ones I like to put at the bottom. And I'm going to click this little down arrow, and we see we have an action value. This is our 2D vector, because movement is on a 2D axis. If I right click it, I can split it. So I can split it between its X and Y axis. And movement, so when the player presses WASD, so I'm going to say I want this to occur when triggered, because movement, like whenever they're pressing it, I want it to be triggering. So I'm going to drag off. I'm going to look for add movement input. Target is pawned. That's fine. And there's a lot of ways that you can do this. I'm just doing it the way that I normally do it. So let's see. I want to add movement input for left and right direction. To do that, what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to right click this, click it, Control D to duplicate it, to make another add move input. Going to chain this together. And I put in the X for the scale value here. This one I'm going to put in Y. And what is going to determine whether I'm going forward, backwards, or left and right is the world direction. So because we're using the X, which should be left and right for the first add move input, we're going to want our world direction to be the right vector of our character. And to get that, we're going to come back into the viewport, and I'm going to add a component. I'm going to look for spring arm. It's going to add this little red arrow, which is essentially going to work like a camera boomstick. And I'm going to click on spring arm. I'm going to add a cine camera. Essentially, I just need a camera. I just prefer using the cinematic camera because it gives you some cool extra features. And just because, I'm not going to do that yet. Well, I am going to do this. I'm going to uncheck constrain aspect ratio because that looks horrible to me. And cool beans. So the spring arm, normally I work in third person. So this is like going to give me like a nice follow camera. But because this is going to be a first person experience, I'm going to change the target arm length from 300 to 0. And that's just going to let us keep the spring arm, but, not have any distance between the character and the camera. And I'm also going to use this down here, this use pawn control rotation. I'm going to check it so that's true, because when we want our mouse to like take over where we're looking, we want the spring arm itself to pivot, not just the camera. Essentially, if we didn't have it on, if I remember correctly. So right now I'm in like the movement gizmo. If I press E, W, E. You know what? I stand corrected. If I press this button up here, which it says E. Oh, I guess it just didn't like me at first. If I click this little rotation tool, I can actually rotate stuff. So this is helpful for like later when we do like more modeling and animations. But if I didn't set the control rotation for the spring arm, the camera might rotate. And if I was using the spring arm, like I might be looking away from the player. Is that not too important? Like, if you run into bugs, that's when it gets important. But that's okay. So this is all I need for now. And this is where we stopped in class. Technically, if I were to go back to the event graph, the last thing we did in class was I dragged in the cinema machine camera, dragged off of it, looked for get right vector. So get its right vector, and I put this into the add movement input that had the X value into its scale value. And then I duplicated this, deleted the get right vector, dragged off from cinema machine, and looked for forward. And I connected this into the one that said Y. Nice. And that should be all we need to do for movement. Which, before I test it, I'm actually going to add in the look too. So if I drag in that, open it up, split its X and Y values. This will also happen on triggered. So I'm going to drag off. And for this one, I'm going to look for add. I'm going to forget. Add yaw input. And I want to say the other one's going to be add pitch. And essentially you have yaw, pitch, and roll, which are different ways that you can like move your head. And I honestly forgot which one is what, because yaw, pitch, and roll do not correspond to directions for me, but I believe this is correct. Plugging the X into yaw, plugging the Y into pitch. If it's not, I'll find out very shortly. So I'm going to hit the little minimize button to bring up the main window. And in my world settings, which if you don't have this little window, you can go up to window and look for world settings and click it, and it'll give you this little tab over here. We can see under game mode, it has like a default game mode already set, the one that the template comes with. So BP first person game mode. We're going to click this and assign our game mode, which we've already set its parameters. So if I click it, we can see that the default pawn class is now demo. The player controller is now demo. It should have replaced it with all of our stuff. So if I hit play, and if I'm lucky, everything will work. So let's see. Hit play. Nice. This is a horrible field of view, but that's okay. The look is working, and if I press W, I'm even going forward. Oh my God. If I press A, I'm going left. I'm pressing D, I'm going back. My God, I did not expect this to work, but I am going to change this field of view because my God, that's horrible. But yeah, everything that we did in class now works. Fantastic. So now with a little bit of time left, we can do some tweakings. So if I go back to my viewport and click on Cinema Machine Camera, we can adjust the way we want our camera to look. If you're more of a film student, this is more up your alley. I actually don't know what I'm doing. I just know what works for me for this. So if I click on digital film, I'm going to want DSLR, 16 by 19. Instead of universal zoom, 30 millimeters prime f 1.4. This will be for like a focus, like if you want the background to be blurry and things up close to be sharp. Aperture 3. I think that makes everything a little bit darker. And if I hit play, Jesus Christ, that's so much better. Nice. Okay. And actually, I think I have inverted look controls, which at least for X and Y, but that's okay. I don't necessarily mind that much. But yay. So we can move around. We've made a basic first-person controller. This is going to confuse me with the inverted controls. Basic first-person controller. We've removed the arms for now, but we're going to add them back in. But we can move around. I did not add in jumping. So let's see. If I add in our last custom event, which is going to be jump. So instead of on triggered, we only want this to be like on completed or on started. I'm going to go on completed. So when they're like done hitting the space button, I'm going to look for, I think I just typed in jump. Yeah. I think for the character controller, you kind of get jump for free. So you don't have to do anything for it, but let's test it. Oh, nope, got it. Go back into the window. Play. Yeah, jump. Jump. Nice. Oh god, yeah, the inverted controls. Hate that. Okay, I don't know which one is yaw, which one is pitch, which one's roll, but I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to try to multiply this by a negative. Type in little asterisk for multiply. I'm going to multiply it by -1. And I think, if I remember correctly, this should invert it, but I actually don't know. Let's see. It did invert it. It inverted the wrong one. Okay, so if I delete this, put it back in, and then multiply the pitch, which apparently is up and down. I will never in my life commit that to memory. Okay, now if I hit play, now if I move my mouse down, I look down. If I move it up, I look up, and then left and right are default. So this is how I normally play games, so this is very much more intuitive to me. But if you like inverted controls, by all means, live your best life. Okay. And last thing, with the 2 minutes I have left, is that if I come back to my viewport, I'm going to try something very chaotic. This might not work, but technically we're already done. I'm going to click on mesh. I'm going to try adding in the skeleton mesh that comes with the first person template. So I added in Quinn. There she is. I'm going to use her which one would it be? I can check. Essentially what we're going to do is that we're trying to make like a true first person thing. So give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Okay. Just make sure I got everything right. So essentially the last thing I did was just create true first person. So I added in the simple SK Quinn mannequin, which is this mannequin here. I gave her her unarmed blueprint class, which I just found over here. And I parented the spring arm underneath the mesh and parented it to her head. So we see it's like bobbing with her. So if I hit play, you see I have a body. And when I run, you can see her arms flailing about. So just a little, last minute thing. All right, that'll be it.